comes to horror movies, it's safe to say that we've had some timeless icons over the decades. Halloween, Friday the 13th, A Nightmare on Elm Street, the Universal Monsters, and so many more. At this point, you can find tons of references from other games like Dead by Daylight, countless posts on social media, or even the dreaded Spirit Halloween stores. Ooh, scary. I'm never stepping in there again. Whatever your feelings may be on the more recent appearances of these characters, I think it's safe to say whenever October rolls around, you're going to see at least one of them popping up somewhere. My guess is people dancing as Michael Myers with high heels. That one was really popular for a while. Not that I mind, it was pretty awesome. Now, even though there's no slasher icon tied to it, I don't think it's any stretch of the imagination to say the same can be said about John Carpenter's The Thing when it comes to its cultural influence. Don't believe me? Maybe you've heard of this small unheard of game called... what was it? Oh yeah, Among Us. You've already been exposed to The Thing in some capacity. Just trying to fix up this ship, but I think my crewmates are trying to eat me. Woohoo! Oh, also, before we go any further, I'd say even with the movie now being over 40 years old, definitely worth the watch. And if it's any indicator by the title, this video is also going to be dealing with it a lot. So consider this a warning on spoilers for both the movie and the game, because I'm going to go in depth on the plot and what my thoughts are on it. And also, the game is considered a canon direct sequel that John Carpenter also had a hand in, and believe me, it's a timeless experience and absolutely worth it. If you decide to play the game yourself, you'll see it's littered with references to the movie. Some are in your face with cutscenes, others are pretty subtle and the game doesn't point them out. I completely missed some my first time playing, but I'll definitely highlight a few as we go along. That way, if you ever play it yourself, you have something to look forward to. And yeah, while I was recording this video, I definitely spotted them during the clips I'll be using. If you see any that I don't stop to point out, bust out those magnifying glasses and leave a comment. Now kick back, relax, and let's begin. The game starts with us taking the role of Captain J.F. Blake, a U.S. Special Force soldier tasked with checking on Outpost 31 as leader of Bravo Team, while another task force, Alpha Team, was sent to investigate the nearby Norwegian camp. Right as you land, you'll be quickly introduced to a few of the major mechanics of the game. Staying outside too long will cause you to freeze until your health depletes, and more importantly, and a very big point of this game, the squad system. In a way, the squad system reminds me of that early SOCOM PS2 game where you were controlling a squad of troops around to help with your mission via voice commands. Except here, we also have to deal with the paranoia associated with the original Thing, as characters we run into may or may not be assimilated or succumb to the paranoia and start killing each other. There's also a trust system where characters will obviously be skeptical as to who you are and won't be willing to follow orders. Unless you throw them a gun and some ammo, that gets just about anyone out here to trust you, and that makes the most sense. People here are afraid. They need a way to defend themselves. They're not going to be willing to just follow the orders of someone who just came out of nowhere, even if you are a captain, just because they just saw everyone else in their squad turn into wacky head crabs and run off after destroying everything. Now, inside the squad system, we have the three different roles that you can find any squad member fall into: the engineer, the medic, and then the soldier. I'll start with the most simple ones since they don't really get to do that much: the soldier and the medic. The soldier does exactly what it should: shoots things until they die. That's basically it, and that's what they're the best at. The medic can heal anyone but themselves, which isn't that big of a deal when we can do that ourselves, but it also means that they're not that important. Sure, they can focus on healing other people, but we can also do the same thing. But this is the most important one of the whole bunch: the engineer. I'm not kidding when I say that either. The game will immediately end if an engineer during pivotal moments ends up dead. Why are engineers so important? Because of junction boxes. These are basically points of progress. A door won't open, there's probably some kind of junction box somewhere that got broken and needs to get fixed. Need an elevator to move? Same thing. Gotta find that junction box. While not all of these junction boxes require an engineer, because Blake can handle some of them, there are definitely ones that do. They are called advanced junction boxes, and you're going to regret having an engineer bite it because the game, like I said before, will just stop. Seriously. Everyone else is just a bullet sponge, but these guys, they end up dead, the game's over. I do find it funny that out of all the squad mates, this is the only one that needs to stay alive, or at least you need to have at least one. If you have multiple soldiers, or if you have none, the game doesn't care, but if you have one engineer, and there's only one engineer that they give you, and that engineer ends up dead, the game's done. I've talked about this enough, we can move on. I will say, though, that the other jobs do matter in the sense that if a character is important to the plot, and then they die, the game will also end. I hope nothing bad happens to my squad mates in the future during this, and nothing causes me to lose because of that happening. This is not foreshadowing. Nope. Now, while we were playing this game, someone told me to keep count of all the junction boxes I encountered as some kind of running gag. I don't really see a point, as it's just a main mechanic of the game, and it's gonna pop up and be prevalent, you know? That is part of the game mechanic. It'd be like if I counted every gun that I see. Instead, for fun, count how many times I say the thing or thing of any kind in this video. If you want to try, leave a comment with the correct amount. I don't know, maybe I'll give out a prize to the person who can guess how many times we say thing. Thing. Good luck. Anyway, back to the squad system. Since it was pretty integral to the game and the movie as well, the paranoia of what was happening coupled with the realization of who could possibly be thingified. Yeah, I'm going to be using that as a verb now, or we'll just say assimilated, but mostly thingified. Anyway, that same paranoia is represented when you look at your squad mates' portraits. Throughout the game, when you go to issue commands, you'll see their heads moving from side to side. Kind of like that one goofy meme from the Night at the Roxbury. Anyway, I'll let myself in the past explain it. See how your squad is holding up? Open the squad menu with Q and look at each member's picture. If they're doing okay, they will casually be looking from left to right. Oh, so this. If noticeably frightened, they'll be looking around at a panic speed. Oh, that's what that one guy was doing. He was going like... If they're close to cracking up, they'll be shaking uncontrollably. So just... so if someone's in full paranoia mode, they'll see their head start shaking back and forth violently. Kind of like this. So what happens if they eventually lose it because of the fear? From what I can find, they'll start attacking the team, taking themselves out, or destroying the surrounding environment. I didn't have this happen in my playthrough, not because the game doesn't get to panic-inducing levels. No, there's plenty of moments where your teammates will eventually just sit there and start panicking, but they never got to that point where they started going crazy. As we continue our way through the outpost, like I mentioned, there's some in-your-face references. We have Blake in the squad finding the Blair Thing's UFO, for example. I really enjoy seeing these moments like this. It's a nice way to show us parts of the movie again that respects the source material. I know if you didn't watch the movie, it won't make that much sense, but that's just how it goes with these movie game titles sometimes, unfortunately. But if you're a fan, this has got to be awesome to see. And for another in-your-face reference, we also have a recording you can find left by McCready.
I'm gonna hide this tape when I'm finished. If none of us make it, at least there'll be some kind of a record. The storm's been hitting us pretty hard now for 48 hours. We still have nothing to go on. One other thing. I think it rips through your clothes when it takes you over. Windows found some shredded long johns, but the name tag was missing. They could be anybody's.
It could even be yours.
I'm very tired. There's nothing else I can do. Just wait. R.J. McCready, helicopter pilot, U.S. Outpost North 31.
I appreciate the references we find like this. It really gets you immersed in the world, and at least if you haven't watched the movie, you can see what was going on at the outpost somewhat. But one reference that I think many players didn't like, I know I didn't, is that we find the body of Childs just a while later. Pretty much confirming the ending to The Thing after it was purposely left open-ended for so long, but I guess after 20 plus years since this game was released in 2002, at that point, they were fine ending the mystery. During that same moment, we have Blake confirming to his higher-up, Colonel Whitley, that the outpost is pretty much gone with absolutely no survivors. With that, Whitley gives us the orders to rig the building to explode, and we set to work. While that's going on, we get a distress transmission from Alpha Team's leader, Pierce, and head in that direction, which is awesome. We get to see more of the aftermath on a wider scale. One thing to note was how much freedom of movement I had to just explore randomly. Was there anything there most of the time? No, but it was just cool being able to freely roam around. And we get to take in just how much destruction was caused because of the Thing's assimilation of the outpost. I feel like this is an awesome approach, and I'm glad we get to see this throughout the game. Not all the time, but when it's there, it's a great reminder in how isolated they were out here on the outpost. I also love these moments while I'm roaming around where you have the camera cut away from the player showing that Blake is being watched. While I still have some control in these segments, I can't quickly aim at what's there in the distance, even though I try to turn to shoot it. It works as a great tool to build up tension that something is going on, but this is going to get a little goofed up by the NPCs, as one of two things normally happens. They either completely block the enemies stalking me so I can't really see them, or they'll immediately just start blasting them, like what happens here. Maybe this is the system working as intended, I'm not sure entirely. But you can see we get ambushed here, and as we start taking care of the little head crabs that came after us, our one friend just starts standing there because he's having a panic attack. Well, you know, that sounds about accurate for what would happen if someone was having a panic attack, right? Well, then what the heck was going on with this guy? He was just standing there. Now, this wouldn't bother me so much, but the thing is that when sometimes you get ambushed, sometimes the NPCs just react like this, where they'll just start blowing everything up before I even have a chance to react. Maybe it's a strength in numbers thing? I'm not sure. But you think that they would try to act a little bit more consistently. But then again, who knows? Maybe that's part of just the whole thing about the thing. You can never tell when paranoia will kick in and how people will react. When I think of it like that, it really highlights how innovative this system was and how realistically the NPCs can react, besides their immediate sense of where the danger is. Considering this was done in 2002 and with multiple partners, this is pretty impressive. Isn't that right, Resident Evil 5? Back to the story, we meet up with Piers, who's understandably a little on edge right now. It appears his whole squad was assimilated and wiped out, and he believes that we've also been infected. He finds a report detailing that the only way to prove we're not infected is through a blood test, similar to the ones in the movie. He informs us that there's a medical kit near the kennels and he wants us to retrieve it and perform the test in front of him. Now we know we haven't been infected, but this just shows how on edge anyone can be in this situation. Also, we found 2 new friends on our way here to Piers. Cruz and Carter, who were from the clips I showed you earlier. Welcome aboard, boys. I'm sure nothing bad will happen to you. I have full trust in the guy I found locked in a room with a key code and another who was surrounded by mutilated bodies. Totally not out of the ordinary. Nothing really remarkable happens on the way to the kennels. Those clips I showed earlier of us getting ambushed were with Cruz and Carter, so you can imagine that's what the rest of the walk was like. I wanted to show those first to display the only times I think the panic system might have been working while I was playing. Maybe? I'm not really sure. With the tests in hand, we make it back to Piers. Now it's time to earn his trust, and really quick, I just want to point out how large the syringe is. The thing's huge. I wouldn't want to stick myself with that, but you know what? I think Blake is totally cool with sticking himself with that. Yep, there he goes. Just absolutely no problem. Alright, well, no explosion, so the test comes out negative. Awesome. Okay, let's test down our squad really quick, and let's see. And oh no, Cruz, you've been assimilated. Now, time to put Cruz down. I'm sorry, buddy, but you know what? We can't have things hanging out with us. And oh no, not you too, Carter. How could this possibly have happened? You know, I really dig these transformations when you see that happen, but man, that's crazy. So they were both just infected this whole time and trying to marinate us to think that they were still human. But I really dig that this can happen because you really don't know if someone is a human or a thing. And you can use those blood tests to verify if someone is still human. But if they're willing to help us while being thingified, that can come in handy. The only thing we need to watch out for is someone panicking after seeing someone else turn. At least I can imagine it would go over well anyway. Back to the story, we are now alone with Piers, and after retrieving all of our weapons back from our once thingified friends, we will miss them. We set out with Piers and... Wait, what happened? Oh, we lost him somehow. Did he just wander off into the distance and then we couldn't find him? Shouldn't we be like, I don't know, military trained for this sort of thing so it doesn't happen? Like, how did we immediately lose him? Did he just close his eyes and roll off into the snow? Okay, fine, whatever. We continue walking when we're nearly blown up by someone lobbing grenades from on top of a tower. Another person who's paranoid and on edge. Which, I get. Who wouldn't be on edge in this type of situation? Either way, say hello to our new friend, Pace. Looks like we got our next engineer. I haven't mentioned it yet, but these blue lights you find out in the snow serve as the guidelines between the buildings. These are incredibly helpful, especially in the snowstorms, because it can be pretty easy to get lost. Thanks to that, we're able to find a new building and a fuse box. Since Blake can fix this one, I tried doing it myself, since the NPCs tend to have better reactions, especially for ambushes, which is exactly what happens here. Now, normally I don't like proceeding directly to the objective, which is probably going into this building, so I like roaming around first in pretty much any game I play, as it usually benefits the player. We can also get a good idea of what's going on inside the building, plus we might find more guns or... What? What? Wait, what? Williams? Who the heck is Williams? Huh? Alright, in that case I'll just go through the front door and blitz to find this guy. Maybe I'm on some kind of unknown timer and this guy is clearly important to the plot if the game would just end if he dies. Like... Why? Why exactly is this happening? Who is Williams? Was there someone I missed? Why didn't the game notify me of this? What exactly is going on? Anyway, you know what? I'm just gonna ask too many questions about Selena. This game came out in 2002. Sure, this is a remaster, but let's just move on. It's just such a weird bug, and I think this is the only time I ever had this happen, but still, it's just so goofy. I actually love it when bugs like this happen, but at the same time, it's just kind of like, you gotta just go through it. So here we go. All right, we found an advanced junction box. Maybe this one will lead us to Williams, but this just makes me even more confused because if he's in this room, all my... Wait a minute. Is that him? It is. So yeah, how is this guy randomly just dying? Was there something in here killing him? But how? There's nothing that could have gotten in here. He was alone. I am just so bewildered at this point, but you know what? That's okay. We'll just move on and just keep going. At this point, it's goofy, it's funny. I don't mind it that much, but at the same time, it kind of makes me not want to focus on one thing that I love about games like this, and that's just being able to roam around. I said how great the roaming was, but now I'm not going to be able to do it because I'm worried this could happen to other NPCs we potentially find or don't find, and then they just end up dead. Continuing with the plot, we fulfill William's request of taking down all the things, which means it's time for him to follow our orders and take us into the comm room. When we get there, in typical horror game fashion, it looks like the radio system is down. After trying to activate it, retreat into an ambush where, after everything is defeated, we get this short cutscene of Williams running away. At least I think he's running away. The game doesn't tell us to follow him or anything, it just cuts to him running. I was a bit confused by this and just ran around for a while until I found the door he went to. Turns out he wasn't running away, he was just showing us where to go next. But as we approach the door, we are warped into the next segment, which is probably my least favorite part of the game. You see, in this segment, there's a bunch of ammo packs, guns, grenades, and health kits in this small area. Normally that'd mean it's almost time for a boss fight, but here, nah, it's just waves of the same things we've been fighting up to this point. My problem with this segment is it turns the focus entirely on the action and nothing else. It's waves of the enemies we've already been fighting with almost nothing else happening. And the worst part, I have no indication as to when I could move on from this whole moment. Even looking back through my VODs, I thought I just had to stay there and maybe something would trigger eventually? I don't know. There's this one scene that cuts to this as soon as we approach this box, and then we're attacked again, and then after that, it just sort of ends. The only thing that I managed to do was I walked outside, go out to this, and then we end up seeing this guy run away. From what I could tell, this person who's running away must have been the person who grabbed what we were looking for, and as there's no reason to stay here, we take chase. Just to close off on this segment, I'm happy that this only happens once in this game. I don't really like these padded out segments in any games that I play, where it's just non-stop fighting. At least it feels really great torching all of the things, but overall I'm glad there aren't many segments like this. I'm also surprised because with how many things that attacked us, no one turned or succumbed to panic. Good job, lads. I'm sure nothing game-breaking will happen to us next chapter. This area is a bit expansive, so let's get to wandering. We're in pursuit of someone and not sure where they went, so we have a lot of ground to cover. Except bad luck's about to hit us instead. It looks like we're about to freeze, and as it's happening, my squad vanishes. Did someone freeze? Sure, one of them said something about it, but I figured that Blake would freeze before they would. So, as I'm walking around, you can see they just disappear. I have no idea where they went at this point, and I spent a good 30 minutes wandering around trying to find them, just to see if they'd spawn back in. I even went and continued on with the story, got to a major checkpoint, and then see if they respawn. Nope, nothing. All I can assume is that they might have just gotten lost somewhere. I don't know how, because they were right behind me. It just sort of felt bad watching them disappear like that. Like, I didn't want them to go away. I gotta hand it to the devs. I'm not sure what was going on, but I was really in this moment where I was just like, I don't want any of my NPC friends to go away. To fix this, because I wanted them back, I decided to do what any logical person would do. Instead of continuing the game after hitting a major checkpoint, I went all the way back into my last save and got them back. All the way back through that horde segment, which I absolutely disliked. This is how much I cared about our squad, because no one gets left behind. Right. I love playing that game. Hold up. Wait, did Williams just transform? Yep, past me, Williams has turned. Oh well, it was good while it lasted. Looks like the infection system is working as intended. Or, you know, at least I think it is. Doing some research into it, there seems to be specific points where teammates can turn no matter what. People have actually discerned who turns and when, and it looks like by taking Williams into this building, he's going to get assimilated. Even if I were to test his blood earlier and he said it was okay, it was doomed. Not gonna lie, that really stinks. Though, unfortunately, this won't be the last time we see that happen either. Foreshadowing. It wasn't something I was initially aware of while making this video, and it kind of ruins the whole point of trying to figure out if someone isn't or is assimilated. How am I supposed to know? It just happens when the game deems it to. You know what, for my own sanity at this point, let's just try to take Pace's blood and see what happens. Okay, well, that's okay, I guess. Yay! Continuing the game normally, we meet up with Piers, who in a cutscene tragically takes his own life, which I'm not going to show. When I was playing this, it completely took me by surprise. It's a very unfortunate thing to see, but it looks like the paranoia and intensity of the situation got to be too much for him to handle. And I get it when you think everyone around you could just be a monster, especially when you just trusted them beforehand. Leaving Pierce behind, we grab the nearby sniper rifle and head across a fallen tower as a scaffolding to the nearby warehouse. As we enter an event, I begin to notice we're all alone again. Well, Pace is gone, and once again, looking into it, maybe we dodged a bullet. Remember how I did that blood test? Yeah, well, people found out that Pace, no matter what, reveals that they have been assimilated by the thing at some point. Even though I did a blood test, it doesn't really matter. Maybe I was lucky both of them vanished on me that one time, but man, that really sucks. Thought we actually managed to save someone for once. Now I'm starting to feel like the survival rate for anyone close to Jake is lower than Chris Redfield from Resident Evil. Anyway, this is Collins. Hello, Collins. Yay! Collins is going to be our new engineer buddy since our last one was doomed to leave us. R.I.P. Pace. I will miss you and your crazy addiction to throwing grenades at me. Anyway, Collins tells us that the Norwegian we've been looking for this whole time is somewhere downstairs in this building. We make our way through the various floors of the warehouse, coupled with a bunch of things trying to kill us. As we continue on, we gather more of the bits of lore that have been sprinkled in everywhere as we walk around. I haven't really mentioned it at all or gave much attention to it when we find notes, but trust me, there's a ton of lore and world building, and it's helpful to bridge the gap between people maybe unfamiliar with the movie. But first, the door leading to our first boss fight. I just want to say I've been really digging the designs of all these things. From the little crawlers to these massive ones, there's some really awesome and grotesque looks, and you can actually look at them all in greater detail in a compendium in the game called The Vault. Imagine what these would all look like if the game was released today. Not as a remaster, which is how I'm playing this, but fully remade to better match these sketches. Anyway, I was just sort of hyping up how great they look because I find out Collins was also assimilated by the thing. And I also come to the realization that at any boss fight we encounter, everyone you have with you will always turn. I checked into this because there seem to be a lot of these types of moments now where no matter what, people just reveal they've been thinged, and it turns out the developers did it because they didn't want missions to be overloaded with NPCs. Yes, they didn't want us to be too powerful. On one hand, I get it, especially as we continue the story, but man, it would have been awesome being able to actually save some other folks here with us, especially from a boss fight. At least at this point while I was playing, I felt like I could still save them anyways, but I only found all this stuff out after researching it. As for the boss fight, it's nothing extraordinary. Your best strategy is circling around it, making sure to keep it on fire, which is indicated by the health bar at the bottom of the screen, while shooting at it and the tiny things attacking us. Blade can also carry up to 10 health packs, so you can normally get smacked around and still be fine as the floor is covered in extra health kits too. After proving we're the best chef around and leaving it well done and dead, we clear out the remaining things from the tiny arena and repair the fuse box in here to open a door that reveals a hatch leading to probably my favorite parts of this game. See, up to this point we've been mostly retreading the area the original thing takes place in. Mostly. Obviously not all of it, but this is when we really start going into new territory. When we load in after dropping down the hatch, the game's next objective for us is to search the submersible. Are we in some kind of sub? I absolutely love this area though. From the narrow corridors to all the broken pipelines constantly leaking, we get put in so many situations like this where it's difficult to see exactly where we might get attacked from, adding to the atmosphere and tension. Awesome stuff. Making our way through the facility, we find this odd map at a PC that after we smack the keyboard for a bit in Super Hackerman style, it reveals a note from a Dr. Faraday, who appears to be the head researcher of Gen Inc. By the sound of it, they were taking specimens of the thing and performing tests in here, but for what purpose? Also, this means this isn't just like some kind of sub or something, but a total underwater test facility? Heck yeah. Look, I know we've made some Resident Evil references here and there, but this is starting to sound a lot like the Umbrella Corporation. Well, maybe they're not researching any of this for evil reasons. Yeah, totally. With the new objective to find Faraday, we search another nearby computer and get a live camera feed into a test room where a human gets attacked by a thing. Okay, I take it back. Evil company. We need answers and more firepower. This place is dangerous. Doing some more snooping, we find additional camera feeds and these door controls over here. The controls operate these doors we've been able to look into and see if it's worth it or filled with things. But knowing me, I just opened all of them because I didn't want to possibly miss anything. Our objective is fixing the one broken control terminal here to get deeper into the facility. As we continue exploring, we find more of those narrow pathways, bloody operating tables, dismembered bodies, and how the things have overrun basically everything. I'm just waiting to find a note at this point talking about an ultimate life form and how they thought they could control it until it eventually escapes, and that's what caused all of this destruction. On our search for Faraday, we find a door where Blake remarks that we need an engineer. We can see just how much this place is actually falling apart. We continue down this hall here and just listen to what happened when I was playing. I don't know who would be alive in a place like this right now, but...
We gotta get out of here. Some of my guys are trapped in the testing chambers.
Right. You're telling me this guy is totally safe? I know he's an engineer and we need one right now, but we've been burned enough times already, so here's a blood test just to be sure. Everyone else we've met has been thinkified so far, and I don't want to take any chances at this point. With our new engineer buddy Price with us, we go back to the junction box door, which leads to a staircase down to more cameras and door controls. The earlier segment was just teaching us how this works, but now the goal here is to find a safe pathway to Dr. Faraday, who's being held in one of the cells, and escort him to safety. Would that make this the first puzzle in the game? Besides entering key codes we find here and there? Yeah! But it's a nice break from all the gunplay, especially after that horde segment. It's kind of funny that the squad system is such an important innovation in this game, because honestly this whole segment in the submersible has been really fun for me, even if we've been alone for most of it so far. As we're trying to figure out the right path to get to Faraday, we also access another holding cell that leads to a medic named Parnovic, who I don't immediately test. Look, at this point, if they're willing to help us as long as they don't hurt Price, that's fine with me. Sometimes you gotta pick your battles, and I'm okay with the thingified helpers. At least right now. Making it to Dr. Faraday, it's revealed that it's actually John Carpenter? In an uncredited cameo to his own series, he's become a character in The Thing he helped create. Well, now that he's here, we're pretty much unstoppable. Well, besides this. Look, that was totally on him. Why would he crouch there and stop me from torching this thing? Oh, and Parnovic reveals he's thingified. We're all devastated as we make him nice and toasty. I know, so tragic. Oh no. Moving on. We make it back outside of the testing lab only to be confronted by none other than Whitley. He's here to help us, is what I would say. Turns out he knows Dr. Faraday. That's not a good sign. Looks like there's more going on here than just a reconnaissance mission like we originally thought. Continuing the conversation, Blake remarks that they need to save his men because he's seen what this infection does, and Whitley reveals he knows more about it than we originally thought again. Blake, understandably upset from having no idea what's going on and seeing most of his men get infected, tries to knock some sense into Whitley but gets shot instead. Well, guess it's time to roll credits. Game's over. No wonder I enjoy this game so much. It ends so abruptly and suddenly. Nah, just kidding. It's revealed to only be a tranquilizer and we're hauled off to another segment I absolutely love. This chapter opens with a cutscene where Faraday, tired of all the testing going on here after the infection has gone out of control, explains the need to destroy all of this before it can reach the mainland, because then there's no stopping this. Whitley in his arrogance says that he, much like a favorite character of mine, is the ultimate life form who can control the things, and he'll be the first successful test subject to prove it. Absolutely not for nefarious reasons. He's such a good guy, that Whitley. We love you, buddy. Faraday refuses to help Whitley with his plans and, "Oh, Whitley, you can't do that. It's John Carpenter." I mean, it's gotta be cool to die in your own franchise, but I'm gonna miss you, Dr. Carpenter. I'm also beginning to think Whitley might not be all that good of a person either. It's just a hunch. After that, Blake wakes up and it looks like we've been stripped of our weapons and equipment, and there are things lurking just outside of where we were being held. With absolutely no way of fighting back against them, our only option is to avoid them at all costs, or we'll get turned into a shish kebab for sure. This is one of the reasons why I find this chapter so much fun. We spent the entire game loaded on resources, and now it's completely removed. Now, every enemy, even the little guys, are an absolute threat. This entire opening is a stealth segment, but also a puzzle where we have to meet up with potential squad mates and gain their trust by finding a limited amount of guns in the area. While I described the early portions of the game as action shooter, this is definitely a survival horror segment, as taking the wrong action here can easily lead to being noticed and overwhelmed. And it happened to me a couple of times, but still I loved it. It's more dynamic and really had me thinking of being careful with what actions I take. I didn't feel super powerful either for once, and that really helps amplify the paranoia. We also find a note from Dr. Faraday that Whitley, despite what he might think, isn't as great of a test subject for the thing as he thought. Whatever this cloud virus is, it sounds like it would have a really bad effect on Whitley if he ended up using it. For my first attempt at this puzzling situation, I just tried opening any doors I could find and fixing all the junction boxes I found. This is how it went. Now, do you trust me? Okay, cool. Follow me.
Okay.
Set me free. Not the best outcome, but hey, I learned a lot. There's a medic, Falchuk, who has a gun with no ammo, and an injured engineer named Dixon. In order to get through this, we had to escort Falchuk over to Dixon, but first we needed Falchuk to trust us by passing him some ammo. We achieved this by sneaking past the big thing roaming the hall, then running back with Falchuk. After he heals Dixon, we at least have strength in numbers, I guess. I think that'd be the end of it. After that, we were able to sneak past everything successfully and nothing would get the best of us. Wrong. You see, after going into this room and helping Dixon, a bunch of tiny things ambush us. I still had Falchuk on gun duty, and this was the one time I could see the difference between a soldier shooting and a medic. He's doing great. What do you me give you ammo. Dog, I'm about to take your gun. Shoot them. This whole segment got pretty crazy after this. After Falchek nearly wastes all of the ammo he had and misses killing the remaining things, I say screw it and just run for the door locked to the junction box where the big thing is. The whole ordeal ends in failure, unfortunately, but hey, at least the difference between squad members is really noticeable. That's a good thing, right? The next attempt I decided to try something different. Instead of trusting my squad, by that I mean Falchek, instead we'd use the environment to help us. You see, these things don't move that fast and they can get stuck on the objects around them. I just close the door after looping them around a bit and boom, problem solved. Don't have to kill anything, they'll just get stuck, and off we go. After this, we go back to our typical gameplay routine now that we're stocked up on supplies. But hey, that was a really fun opening. It completely changed what we've been doing and I had a blast. As we continue investigating, we find what appears to be a room filled with holding cells for test subjects using this camera. And hey, look at that, it has a cool turret attached to it. Too bad there's nothing to shoot with this, but I can imagine that it's here to help prevent any outbreaks. That sure didn't go well, huh? Okay, so it looks like our goal is to get to that room with the holding cells next, but to do that we have to get past the security gate that has our DNA on file and will trigger if we cross it. There's some switches on the wall here to disable it, but this is what happens if you trip the wrong switches. I'm sorry! It was an accident! Okay, maybe pulling random switches wasn't the best idea, but the whole sequence kills me. The door opening to a group of soldiers coming to mow you down, plus the noise of the turret activating is just so funny and I love it. After a few more random guesses, I managed to find the right combination and we get into the holding cell room. Looks like there's some things in here and a few guys locked up. Oh, I know what you're probably thinking. Testing room. These guys are probably thingified. Yeah, probably, but that won't stop me from letting them out. Oh hey,
We got company.
a guy. Do we? We do. Oh, he turned immediately. Are you kidding me? Okay, that was my bad. I guess the game said there can only be one engineer at a time because this dude immediately turns. Now we do find another actual human while investigating in here in this one room containing a vent. At this point I spent a very long time looking around. I wasn't sure where to go, so I kept running around the facility. You see, I forgot that the vents can be broken. Sure, there's that one level where we break a couple, but besides that, I didn't remember it was a thing since I played this game on different days. I didn't remember everything perfectly. I felt really silly combing the whole area again until I found it, but hey, that's on me. Totally a gamers don't look up moment. Whoops. One last thing to note in the holding cell room, Dr. Faraday leaves a note that explains Whitley has injected himself with the cloud virus despite his warnings and says it's changed his personality. Well, that's not good. I guess we were knocked out for longer than we thought. With that out of the way, we proceed past some more rooms filled with things until we find an elevator that takes us to our next chapter, and our new objective is simple: escape. At this point, we've had human enemies with guns trying to kill us, and it means it's time for some old-fashioned shootouts down hallways. While there's no real cover besides standing behind walls, they aren't too hard to deal with. Except I'm not sure when, but you're going to start noticing a very subtle change going on here. I don't mean like a, oh, we've been thingified change. I mean the game is going to slowly start breaking. At first, I can't really tell if the enemies here are just really strong or I'm doing less damage, but over time, I can no longer kill or be killed. This bug was absolutely game-breaking. Here, have some examples. Bro, why isn't this one dying? What the Oh, I think it's already dead. Whoa, 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 hey. Whoa, 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 hey, whoa, whoa, hey, whoa. Yes, I am your master. Obey me! And this is why we have multiple save files. In order to fix this, I just had to load back far enough, but then I experienced another game-breaking bug. Gun? Yeah, that's right. The assault rifle broke and I can't use it anymore. No idea why this happened, but I tried to brute force it again, but losing access to one of your weapons definitely makes this harder. So it's time for another save file reboot. Again, have multiple save files ready. You never know when something like this can happen. Buggy shenanigans aside, to explain this area properly, we separate from our squad using this vent as no one else but Blake can bend his knees. While we're on our own, we have this room with a few numbered switches in it connected to the doors here and an incinerator, but some of them aren't powered on so we can't move forward just yet. In order to trigger all of these, we need to go further into the facility and fix those junction boxes I showed in those clips taken from when the invincibility bug was happening. With those repaired, we head back to the main room. Now, inputting the switch sequence in an incorrect order can cause those massive things to either overwhelm us or attack our squad, but with all of the switches now active, we're able to incinerate them instead. You can still get your squad killed here though if you open the doors too fast. The fire can still prove absolutely fatal, so just give it some time to cool off first. With all of the issues, that took about an extra 50 minutes to complete, but hey, we made it and can put it behind us. While it did pad out the game more, it wasn't really intentional and I made the best out of it. Sometimes you just have to enjoy these buggy moments. For me, it wasn't an issue, but I can definitely see this aggravating people too. After clearing out this elevator, we take another ride one step closer to freedom. When we exit it, we're confronted by a couple more things in a furnace room. Once they're taken care of, we repair a junction box to open a door leading to more soldiers trying to stop our escape attempt. We also meet two more potential squad mates though. Lavelle, the engineer who we meet just standing around, and Temple, a medic we meet in a cutscene who tells us Whitley failed to gun him down. Looks like those reports were right about Whitley losing his mind, and those soldiers we've been seeing aren't just trying to kill us, they're trying to kill everyone else in the facility. At this point, I don't think anything can stop us. No, seriously, we have so many squad members now, the game interface can't display everyone when we issue commands, and it's the first time we've had more than 4 squad members at once. Thanks to our growing army, we easily advanced down a staircase that leads onto a massive roadway. Looks like this was how they were transporting supplies and things around with all the shipping containers here and these massive trucks we find nearby. This roadway is littered with Whitley's soldiers and things, but we make quick work of them thanks to our team. There's one other engineer we meet coming up, but I don't even get close enough for his name to appear before he gets thingified. Sorry, buddy, but maybe someone else can save you during their playthrough. We sure didn't, and I'm not going to show footage of him either just because of this. Most of this section remains the same until we make it to this shutter door here, but as we open it and pass through, the door thankfully closes behind our squad so they aren't in here with us, because then they just immediately get thingified because it's time for another boss fight. I won't lie, I wasn't entirely sure what to do here. There was this winch control junction box I fixed that I think was stunning the boss when I hit the activated switch nearby, but it was still hitting me sometimes even if I activated the switch. Beats me, I guess. Thankfully I had a ton of healing packs so I could just muscle my way through this. So far we're 0 for 2 on these boss fights. I enjoy the deviation from having us running around it in a circle, but it was kind of weird to fight against and difficult for me to tell if even activating the control panel was doing the right thing. At least they look cool. After repeating this for a bit, we take the boss down and activate the switch behind them, opening a door outside nearby. Entering this room, the only thing that stands out is this one very bright light with a switch underneath it. We activate it and are shown the elevator from earlier, and the level is now open, so we have a new route to take. After that, a light turns on over the box behind us, and as Blake approaches it, we find out it's actually a bomb and it's rigged to explode in less than 35 seconds. We only have one choice, and that's run as fast as we can onto that elevator we opened. Thankfully, it's an easy walk back with all the threats we cleared out from earlier. Everyone should be able to survive this, but they're getting oddly slow about getting on here with me. Just to be safe, I'll get on first. I'm sure they'll follow behind me. They've been practically shoulder to shoulder with me up to this point already. Alright, if you guys weren't in the elevator, you're dead. Oh. Wait, are you serious? Did they all just stand there and get blown up? Yep. Yep. Looks like everyone else just blows up, so once again, we're all alone. Oh, it was fun while it lasted, gentlemen. I will miss all of you. I'd mourn your loss more, but this was an intended feature. Developers were afraid of any game malfunctions from having too many squad mates at once, and honestly, with so many people, it makes most dangerous encounters extremely easy. Moving on, our mission this time is to explore a warehouse in this new area we find ourselves in. Nothing really remarkable happens through the start of this area, so I'm going to be glossing over it until we hit something major. It's the standard fare of disposing of Whitley soldiers and things through an assortment of rooms we should be used to at this point in the game. This continues until we encounter another new engineer named Powell in this cutscene. I'm so sorry, dude, that you had to run into us. He explains that we're part of a bogus research team, which, again, gives me huge Resident Evil vibes. We're basically STARS members, and now I'm wondering just how much Whitley reminds me of Wesker. Give me 1 second. Okay, I think he could actually pull it off. He just needs some corny one-liners, and he's basically almost exactly the same. Go Whitley! Back to the boys. Blake and Powell discuss that the cargo Whitley is preparing has to be destroyed, because it's Whitley, and he's obviously up to no good. We're given a new mission to gather C4 so we can destroy the cargo, and sadly, again, there isn't much else to remark on here. Like I said before, it's just the stuff we've become accustomed to. Enter new rooms, exterminate any threats, and move on. I'm not highlighting all of it, but that doesn't mean I wasn't enjoying it. I am. It's just we're already used to it at this point, so I don't need to go every little bit of detail on it, you know? We find the C4 and power down the defense grid. As we start grabbing the explosives, we're given our next task, and it looks like we're going to be sabotaging some planes. We've also tripped the alarms, which causes the power to go out in the warehouse. More enemies have arrived, except now we're fighting with limited vision, but that doesn't stop us, and we're able to push our way through them and back to the entrance of the warehouse. Simple and quick. After loading into the next area, we're given an update to our task. We need to find a way to open the bay doors to access the planes if we're planning on blowing them up. There's a lot of sneaking around here we can do, thanks to the sniper rifle we found earlier and the heavy snow. We can take out soldiers before they even see us. And no one would think twice about hearing gunfire out here, what with all the things running around. We find a building with some guards outside it, and after disposing of them with my best stormtrooper aim, we can get inside and find a way to get those bay doors unlocked. Going through the facility isn't anything difficult. We do, however, find a medic here, and I make a new discovery as we attempt to rescue him. I blew up. No! Yeah, as it turns out, engineers aren't always important like I originally thought. If there are no advanced junction boxes, I guess the game is okay with me doing stuff like this. Well, sorry, Powell. I'll reload so we can get you back, don't worry. We also did this so we can have a new medic on the squad. Reed. With that out of the way, we continue advancing up, and after successfully making it to the top of the tower and disposing of any things up here, we finally open the cargo doors. But it looks like more soldiers come to try and stop us. Except at this point, we're so used to things so much worse happening, so we quickly dispatch them and head for the hangars. As we approach our first set of planes, I'll explain how this area plays out. We go from hangar to hangar, planting C4 to the front of the plane. You do not have to plant the C4 anywhere else on the planes. As far as I could tell, checking the interior of the hangars wasn't really worth it anyways. It normally triggers an ambush or you'll find some ammo and equipment, but not enough to yield anything major. After we plant the C4 and then detonate the bombs by firing at them, they fall to the ground, making it so they can't leave the area. Sorry, Whitley. No bringing the thing to the rest of humanity. We've already got enough issues. We don't need any body snatchers. When the last of the planes fall, we're treated to a short scene of some things approaching the building we're in and are given the objective to escape once more. Looks like they came here from this door they broke down and through this vent. Well, here we go. When we load into the next area, our objective changes to gain access to the armory, and I notice I'm once again by myself. Look, I can't even say if Powell and Reed were thingified, but they're just gone. I think people in this universe need to start learning to bend their knees more, because they totally could have followed us down this vent and been okay. As I'm mourning the loss of our fallen friends and traveling through more vents, we meet a new medic named Cohen. At least we have a new squad mate. We just have to descend these ramps to the bottom floor, defeating any things and soldiers we see along the way. Wait a second, where did Cohen go? Oh, come on, he already turned? Yeah, but looking into it, for this one, it was totally my bad. It says Cohen can survive all the way until the end of this segment, where he just vanishes, you know, like everyone else. I would have reloaded for this one, but since Cohen was cursed with being just a lowly medic and not an engineer, my brain told me, just keep going. No reloading for you, Cohen. I also figured that this was just a scripted thingified moment since it happened so fast. Well, back to our descent. It's nothing too crazy. We just have to play peekaboo with these turrets as they're about to trigger. To do this, we need to hide behind cover and shoot them before they turn us into Swiss cheese. It's nothing too difficult, but that doesn't mean they don't get the best of me either. Uh-oh. Ooh. Whoops. Whoopsies. Admittedly, that wasn't my best idea, but hey, that's okay. It means we can reload and save Cohen this time. Except I think at this point I was definitely on edge about this guy. Look, I said I only researched when they turned while I was making this video. On my playthrough, I had no idea, so I thought Cohen was just a thing from the start and absolutely didn't trust him after what happened earlier. Paranoia effects are working just as intended then. Well done, developers. Making my descent this time, I discover a different tactic that makes this go by way more smoothly. Instead of trying to shoot the turrets head on when they can see me and possibly getting shot, I instead take these angles from higher corners since they can't turn and blast us. I just had to be careful of any soldiers or things that would also be trying to attack me at the same time. Making it to the bottom of this ramp, we go past the final turret and open a door that leads to even more turrets. Except this time, while we're slowly moving forward and taking cover, we use these switches instead to disable the turrets because trying to shoot them all out would leave us with absolutely no ammunition. We have 3 of these types of rooms and they were pretty fun as it gives us lane to consider as we have to move more cautiously. I also had this happen and wanted to share it to demonstrate how fast they can just blow us up. I definitely have my moments of pure genius sometimes. Oopsie. Making our way through the final turret room, we're brought to this moment between two engineers named Stoles and Ryan as they get into a very tense moment together. Oh boy, I better step in. I did the only logical thing I can do in this situation. Now, I could totally do a blood test on both of them, but instead, I just give them more ammunition so they trust me instead and could possibly shoot each other. Really, I think this just goes to show how great my leadership skills are. I got them to follow me. After walking with them for a bit as they continue their standoff, it is eventually revealed that Ryan's has been thingified this whole time. You know, from the way he was acting, it was pretty apparent Ryan's was a thing, but still I thought it was just funny watching them still point their guns at each other while we were kind of trying to walk around, and that's why I didn't bother doing a blood test. Also, it's a good thing Blake was hiding when they were asking about where Cohen went. They would not be happy with us if they knew I killed him just a few moments ago. To explain where we are a little better, we've reached the main lobby of what appears to be a weapons testing facility. With Stoles' assistance, we reach a room that actually explains when the outbreak happened in this area. That's so cool. You can read all of the monitors here to piece together what went down and when, and by this one terminal here saying that Ryan seemed fine after he had an incident, sounds like he was been thingified for a while now and these poor guys never knew. Seriously, I love this kind of stuff. We get to see how on edge it made everyone to discover this massive crater and how worried everyone ends up. These types of notes really help us get immersed in the world, and it reminds us how difficult it would be for anyone in this situation to tell if someone was already turned. Also forgot to mention this, but the notes here also reveal that the men here were working on an antivirus for the thing, and that Stoles' work on it was extremely impressive. Man, that makes this whole segment even more sad. We were so close to fixing all this. Alright, this next segment is kind of frustrating. As Stoles explains in this cutscene here, there's a door on a timer that we need to activate so he can pass through it and jam it for us so we can get in. Sounds simple enough on paper, but I swear this part doesn't work entirely like it's supposed to. I had so many moments where the door would be open and he'd just stand there in front of it before turning back to me. What the heck, man? Just go in the door! Anyway, when it does eventually work out for us, we're given a notification and we could take down all these thing clusters in here remotely so we don't have to deal with it. Also, Stoles has vanished. But that's okay. Turns out after he crosses into that room, he just gets thingified anyways, so him vanishing? Totally canon. We're moving on. This next cutscene begins with a guy named Austin who, in a frantic panic, tells us to check a nearby terminal because he can't make sense of it. Shouldn't that be his whole thing since he's an engineer? Anyway, as we enter in ahead of him, oh, that punk. He locks us in and we have to find a way to get out of here before that timer hits 0. I absolutely love this. That was so unexpected and we're given absolutely no explanation other than the terminal saying, "Breathe deep, Blake," when we check it. With the limited time we have, we figure out that we need to remote into a turret to blow up the door by shooting a nearby canister. Making us do stuff that's outside of the box like this is always welcome, and this was so much fun. I'm happy the devs implemented this sort of thing, and I'm glad it's not overused. Moving on from the escape room, we make our way through more of the facility until we enter a testing range and meet another engineer buddy, Vitola. Together we make our way through more of the testing range and unlock more doors until we gain access to our third boss fight. Alright, at this point I'm just going to say it. While the design looks great once again, this is just another big circle strafe and burn segment. That puts us 0-3 for the boss fights, but this one is probably the worst. In the first one we had multiple things trying to attack us at once. In the second we had some sort of puzzle, but here, it's just one other thing in this big one. That's it. I just focused my attention on the big one, moving around it in circles until it can't handle the heat anymore and we're given the objective to escape. To do this, we make our way back to the main lobby and through the door we first came out of in the cutscene with Ryan's and Stoles. When we exit, an alarm starts blaring. Looks like everything is rigged to explode. Okay, with that aside, we're now expected to run back through all of the rooms up to the vents where we first met with Cohen, dodging fire and healing through explosives as more enemies try to stop us. The thing creatures I understand, but these soldiers are also trying to stop us rather than survive. They must really like Whitley. We make it to an elevator leading out surrounded by more thing creatures, but instead of fighting them we just beeline it and ride this elevator to safety. No exploding for us, not here. As we exit we see Whitley running away and it's time for our next objective. It's time to chase down and find this Wesker wannabe. Starting in this area we can see that the sun is rising. Looks like we've been here for a while, huh? We fight our way through more of Whitley's men, except now we're absolutely on our own. Poor Peltola. Sorry we couldn't have you come with us, but it was a fun fling while it lasted. As we make our way past the soldiers, once again, because Blake is a one-man army, we reach this building and go inside where Blake and Whitley have a showdown once more with each other. Sick of all the BS he's put us through, Blake tries to give an action hero one-liner and sets Whitley on fire. I guess that's that. Is what I would say. Looks like Whitley doesn't care at all anymore. He gives off one corny line back at us and runs off, meaning this isn't over yet. And just like that, I'm back to liking Whitley again as a bad guy. Good job, Whitley. but one question. How do we stop him if he's immune to fire? That's like the major weakness of the thing. We're in trouble. Well, not to worry. We just have to make it through all these traps, like these motion sensor lasers, which we can easily disarm like so. Oh. As they should. You know, with a leader like me, I can see why the crew is all dead. This area serves as the final hurdle before we get to the last confrontation with Whitley. The best way to get through these motion sensors is by using grenades and explosives to detonate them from afar or alert the nearby soldiers and let them run through it. No, seriously, that absolutely works too. They don't pay attention to them very well either. That was pretty fun, honestly, having their own traps work against them. I totally dig this section. Okay, so if that last area was the hurdle, this area serves as the jaunty stroll because I really have nothing to say here. I head outside and I can just waltz by everyone as they really can't shoot us from how far off they are on those towers. Fight them if you want, but I just left. I'm here for Whitley, not them. When we load into the next area, we're treated to another reference. It's the UFO from the movie. Whitley's standing in the center of it and he does not look like he's doing so good. Oh, he's doing really not so good. Looks like Dr. Faraday was right. Whitley wasn't able to control the virus after all, and he's probably got the coolest looking thing transformation in the game. That's so nasty, I love it. As we start our approach on the giant Whitley thing, I'm left wondering, how the heck are we gonna fight that? When suddenly we're confronted by this helicopter pilot asking us if we need some help to take down the Whitley thing. And to that I have to say, thank you mysterious pilot, because it's time to confront the Whitley thing and take down the final boss of this game. We hop onto the gun mounted onto the helicopter and start blasting away at the Whitley thing. The strategy here is pretty similar to the ones against the other bosses, except I have a telegraphed area to fire against before the Whitley thing hits us. These tentacles that grow out of it that shine a bright red. Other than that, we just circle around it and shoot at all these barrels. I'm gonna give this one a pass, but only because it has a clear way to avoid damage. I will say the tension of this scene gets removed because there's no music, but there's not really that much music in this game to begin with, so that's not too big of a deal. After enough pressure, the Whitley thing falls to our immense firepower. I guess fire still worked after all. Game over, Whitley. With the Whitley thing ultimately defeated, Blake and the unknown pilot have a friendly conversation with each other, because who on earth would have any idea to come out here and help with us? Oh, look at that, surprise! It's revealed to be MacReady, meaning he survived at the end of the original movie. MacReady fans, rejoice! As the boys ride off into the sunset in action hero style, we can put a close on this game as the title card appears for the thing, and the end credits begin to roll. Overall, my feelings on this game are pretty high. Just like the people when this game initially released, I can appreciate the innovation it tried to pull off with the various ways the squad mates had to be coded. We could give them commands, sure, but we also had to get them to trust us, keep them calm and avoid panic, while also facing the paranoia of wondering who could possibly be thingified. Spoilers on that one, but since we're at the end of the game, it looks like all of them. Except the squad mates we had at the very beginning of the game. Those guys just got back on the chopper. They were probably the smartest people here. I enjoyed plenty of areas in this game, from the cool submersible to the underground lab, and especially the opening segment and final area that expanded on how some of these researchers were so close to developing a vaccine. The only area I really didn't like was that horde segment because all of that felt really vague and poorly implemented, but other than that, solid work. Oh, and the buggy moments. While they added on to my overall playtime, I did find them pretty amusing all the same. I wish I could say more about the music, but like I mentioned earlier, there really wasn't any. You'd maybe hear like a little jingle here or there, but that was it. Aside from that, I really do think this was a great experience, and I'm so happy Night Dive remade this so people can now play it on Steam. Go check it out! Until next time, take care and thanks for watching. Seriously, thank you so much if you watched through all of this. This is my first foray into a video this big, and I had an absolute blast putting it together. Huge shout out to my community for joining me through this playthrough when we did it live. Also to Shidati for all the reactive faces I've been using through this, Clef for the thumbnail, and to Autumn for helping me get started with video editing. I expect to do more of these in the future, but please, any feedback and comments will help me a ton with this, and I'm open to trying something new for next time. Now for the final time this video, thank you for watching and take care.